Welcome to the Sage Thought Leadership Podcast, building experiences that connect, remove friction, and deliver insights. Well, hi, everyone, and welcome to our podcast. I'm Ed Kless, and I am live at Scaling New Heights 2023 with Matt Lescault. Welcome to the Sage Thought Leadership Podcast.
Hello, nice to be here.
You are the president of Lescault and Walderman, and we're going to talk to you about what you're doing in the accounting profession. But I first want to know, Matt, why do you do what you do?
So this goes all the way back to college. So I was a controller for a organization, a company, when I was doing night school, and pretty much got a PhD in everything not to do in business and how to fix every single thing. Without going into a lot of detail, I asked for a raise because I was getting faxes, that said Matthew Lescault Esquire on them, and I went to the owner of the company and said, I'm now a lawyer and I'm worth more money. But what that did was that gave me an opportunity to understand what I enjoyed, that I enjoyed building things, and I enjoyed fixing things. And so I realized that I was going to be, I don't want to say bored, but one organization, one company just being an accountant wasn't going to be what really drove me to where I wanted to go. So I said, I'm going to start a bookkeeping company at 22 years old, and I don't know what I'm doing. I've never worked for an accounting firm in my life, and I'm going to figure this out on the fly. And so I went to my parents, and I said, well, I got offered this other job. I think it was like $120,000 a year at 22. So I don't want to do that. I want to start my business. And my mother said, you're crazy. I don't think you should do that. And my dad said, have fun. Go figure it out. And so the company got started with the why of, or the reason, and maybe why and reason is the same thing, of I wanted the opportunity to drive my own vision and to help organizations, businesses alike to succeed from an accounting perspective, from a financial perspective, because I understood, because numbers have always spoken to me. They tell me a story, and I like stories. And I like to show business owners those stories in a lot of ways. Now today, my why is slightly different because I don't do accounting anymore. I always say I pretended to be an accountant until I could hire enough accountants to not do accounting. And so my why in a lot of ways today is, driven by a want to succeed in more and more things, to have the opportunity to learn more and more things. If I'm not learning, I'm not really having a lot of fun. And so, to tie this into Sage, the real interesting thing is that as an organization, as a person, the opportunities that we've been brought by being a Sage partner have led to us having an office in South Africa, has led to us to being able to be a global business, has led to us to be able to create a organization, a company with a culture that bleeds my beliefs. And so a person's why, I think, evolves over time. If you work long enough, your why changes slightly. But it was always centered around how I could help other people.
Well, I want to talk about something you said earlier, and that is, how well do you think the accounting profession is doing at this storytelling thing that you're talking about?
Do you want me to be honest?
No, lie to me. I prefer it.
So I think accountants generally struggle storytelling in a lot of ways. Accountants can tend to be, and I want to be respectful, tend to be black and white around the numbers. The numbers are what they are. And there's so much more that goes into it. And it's not always natural to look at numbers that way. It's not always natural to be able to see what's hidden beneath the P&L, to really understand the breakdown of financials, what's important. And everybody talks about key performance indicators and things of that nature. But where are you going as an organization? How are the decisions you make on a day-to-day basis affect the trajectory of your company? And micro data can help tell you that.
So let's talk a little bit about this. It's funny you mentioned that accountants have struggled with this, yet the very language of accounting harkens back to a previous time when it was storytelling. I mean, first of all, you're accounting, you account for a story, and accounting is a past participle. It's like what happened in the past. But also, what I found, the word audit means a hearing, a listening. I mean, same as auditory nerve, yet accountants are struggling with that aspect of it. Do you think it's just because of what they're taught in school that they struggle, or is this just the nature of the people who are drawn to accounting? And more importantly, is this something that can be adjusted and fixed?
Well, I think that there's a lot of accountants that are, from a leadership perspective, that are great storytellers. And that's why they are in leadership positions, because they can take the data or take the information, talk to the client in that storytelling perspective. But I think everybody has a unique set of capabilities. And as a leader, as an organization, your job is to really put people in those positions that they're going to highly succeed. I've met some extremely capable and extremely intelligent accountants that they weren't storytellers, but the story couldn't be told without the work that they did. And so I think it's understanding who you're putting in what seat and how you're expecting. I think sometimes as accountants, we just think everybody needs to do everything because that's what we've been told. We're the IT person. We sometimes have marketing reporting to us, which is an interesting one. And there's so many things that we're sort of the catch-all in a lot of ways from historically. And I think that's where we've been asked to be more than what we necessarily should be. We should understand how to break down our services in ways that put the right people doing the right jobs, and then we're more successful. It's the same idea now that's so prevalent within the accounting industry of being verticalized from an industry perspective. There was a time when we were all generalists. And now if you want to be, you want to have a deep and rich and valuable organization, you better be pretty deep and knowledgeable in your specific industries, verticals and micro verticals. It's the same idea.
Yeah, I mean, one of the principles is due care, right? You're not supposed to do what you don't have an expert level of knowledge in. And I think so many accountants think, well, it is related some way to accounting, so I'm going to have to do it.
Right.
But they get wrapped around the axle. Matt, we have an exit question that we ask all of our guests, and that is, who's a hero of yours, and why are they a hero?
So, I don't think it's cliche, but my hero really is my father, but not in maybe the same way that a lot of people would talk about it. My father, in 1986, when I was 3 years old, had aortic aneurysm. I was born in South Africa, and we had to leave South Africa for that because of that. It paralyzed him from the thighs down, and he. Until he died in 2007, had extreme pain every day. But he never allowed that to change who he was. And a lot of people that go through that type of trauma and have to deal with that type of pain really don't see life in the same light. And that's not how he approached it. And what he taught me was that every challenge has a solution. And every problem has a solution, and if you just take it and run with it, that you can do anything that you put your mind to. And that was a lesson that I learned by experience, and I didn't have to really learn on my own. And it's, I think, one of the reasons that I've been as successful as I have. I think that goes a lot into it.
Lastly, Matt, how can somebody get a hold of you?
Hit me on LinkedIn. Or go to my website at l-wconsulting.com.
All right. Matt Lescault, president of Lescault & Walderman, thanks so much for being a guest on the Sage Thought Leadership Podcast.
Thank you.
Review and subscribe by searching your podcast player of choice for Sage Thought Leadership Podcast.